Welcome to the Secret for Boys channel. I'm in the garden of a hotel where I've been under lockdown for the last 2 months in a place called Trincomalee in Sri Lanka. So this is the garden, but there's a lot of worse places to be. In the late 70s I started listening to punk rock. One of the singles I really liked was The Dangerous Rhythm by Ultravox, but it was the B-side, My Sex, that really got me because of the singing, the lyrics and the electronic music. When Ultravox released their second album, I really got into Hiroshima Mon Amour. This time it was a saxophone over the electronic music. I thought it was really, really good. Around the same time, David Bowie released Low and Heroes. The tracks Subterraneans, V2 Snyder and Sense of Doubt, I have to admit, I played thousands of times. Again, it was down to the combination of instruments and synthesizers. Years later, Soft Cell released a 12-inch remix of the hit Say Hello, Wave Goodbye. This time it was the clarinet playing that really stood out. What I discovered was that I like electronic music with woodwind instruments, saxophone playing, clarinet playing, and of course trumpet. If you wonder why I'm telling you this, it's because Siesta is an electronic album. I guess like most people in the 80s, we would go to a music store, have a look at the A to Z of artists and groups and buy what took our fancy. This is how I found Siesta. I'd never heard of the movie. That didn't matter. I was more interested in hearing the new Miles Davis album. I've since seen the movie, and Davis's music goes well with the film and the film's locations. Like a lot of films in the 80s, the films were more like videos for the music. Where parts of Bowie's Low and Heroes transport you to Berlin, Siesta has the same effect. It drops you right in the middle of Spain. The first track is called Lost in Madrid Part 1. This is a short track at 1 minute 47, but it doesn't need to be any longer. Davis's trumpet playing is absolutely perfect. This is an example of Davis's philosophy, that you don't need lots of notes, just the ones that fit. They certainly fit on this track. You can feel the emotion. The synthesizer playing combined with the trumpet makes you think of the hot Spanish countryside. Marcus Miller then adds just a touch of melody on the synthesizer at the end to support the trumpet. It's absolutely amazing, this track. The next track is Siesta at 5 minutes 5 seconds. A strum of acoustic guitar, the beat of a military drum, clarinet and Davis's trumpet conjures up images of flamenco dancing. One of Davis's band members, John Schofield, plays the flamenco sounding guitar combined with Miller's synthesizer playing. The drumming, castanets and Davis's trumpet produce a track that is Spain. The album is dedicated to Gil Evans, the man who wrote and orchestrated the Sketches of Spain album. This track is a fitting tribute to him. The next track is Kit's Kiss. It's a short 15 seconds burst of clarinet that leads into the Lost in Madrid Part 2. Lost in Madrid Part 2 is 1 minute 5 seconds. It reminds me of something that could quite easily have been on Japan or a Wally Badger album. It's a short melody played on synthesizer with some nice bass playing. It's a beautiful piece of music. Alone was part of a movie score. Theme for Augustine at 4 minutes 20 starts with clarinet, similar to the short Kit's Kiss, with synthesized vocals in the background, giving it a haunted sound. Then some nice piano backs Davis's muted trumpet playing. Miller's clarinet and sparse synthesizer in the background gives the track a fuller sound. He adds a little electric tom-tom drums, a little more, some bells, and gives it a little more ambience. Wind, the next track, at 13 seconds, is basically a hum played on a synthesizer that breaks the theme for Augustine and leads into Seduction. Seduction is 2.5 minutes long. This is a very mournful piece. The melody gives the feeling of sadness, especially when the violin enters. Miller's saxophone playing heightens the despair. Finally, synthesized vocals are added in the background when Davis plays. It works in the film, but on its own, it's such a tragic piece of, sad piece of music. Submission is also 2 minutes 30 long. Miller has a unique ability to write songs that remind you of other songs. This track could easily have been taken off Bowie's Low, but when you listen to it, it's much, much more. Once again, there's sampled voices in the background. This track is built around sampled chimes, a melody with Miller's saxophone and clarinet playing along. Throughout the album, it's the same formula and vibe, and each song is somehow different. Lost in Madrid Part 3 at 46 seconds is a short reprise of the theme tune, but played only on a synthesizer. The last part sounds like, running water. Conchita at 5 minutes 49. This is the best track on the album. It's like a song made for Tutu, but including all the best bits of this album. Spanish themed synth, fantastic bass, great drums, sequenced vocals, and a beautiful melody combining synthesizer, saxophone and clarinet. However, there's no Miles Davis on this track. Maybe there's no need, as it's perfect as it is. With all that said, if you're familiar with Sketches in Spain, there are many similarities to passages in Solia from that album. And next is Lament at 53 seconds. It's exactly as the title suggests, a sad orchestrated synthesizer piece. Lost in Madrid Part 4 at 1:04 begins with Davis playing some nice trumpet, which in turn becomes a heavy drum electronic rhythm, if you can believe it, with once again sequenced vocals. Rat Dance, 34 seconds, is similar to Kit's Kiss. Again, a short burst of clarinet playing. Claire is also 2.5 minutes long. On this track, Earl Clough plays classical guitar accompanied by orchestrated synthesizer. After the intro, Davis comes in playing muted trumpet. Miller adds a little synth, castanets, some melodic bass. Very good track. Next is Lost in Madrid Part 5. It's 2 minutes long. Davis' trumpet playing really shines on this track. It's the same qualities he played on Sketches in Spain all those years ago. When he hits those notes, nobody can touch him. He's the master and the only jazz superstar. Miller accompanies him on a synthesizer sounding like a harp. The next track is called Afterglow at 1 minute 40. This is another electronic piece, but it's a little different than the other tracks, more like a Bowie or an Eno track. The next track is Los Felipe at 4.5 minutes. This is played at the end of the film and this album. It's the closure. Davis plays mournful open trumpet, so sad, building up to a climax with Miller's synthesizer sounding like a full orchestra. Yeah, it's a great track. The track listing on Siesta is placed in such a way it's easy to listen to the album straight through, as all the tracks lead into the next. It's quite an amazing feat, as it's a soundtrack. They said in the 80s that Davis had lost his lip. Well, this album shows his trumpet playing was as beautiful as before. He just chose to use a mute, or as in the 70s, a wah-wah pedal. He was the man, he still is the man. Davis can thank Miller for the music, which is excellent, but it's Davis' album. His aura hangs all over it. Without Davis, it would never have been possible to create something like this. On the tracks Siesta and Conchita, you can hear Davis. Anybody else, it just wouldn't have the same effect. In turn, Miller can thank Gil Evans for this inspiration, thus the album's dedication to him. The whole idea of Spanish flavour originates from the Sketches in Spain album. The use of harp, the military drums, bass and strings. Even though the strings are played through a synthesizer, and Miller's bass is a fretless bass, but it's outstanding. It's one of the major reasons why this album succeeds. But if you enjoyed this review, click on the like and please subscribe. Thank you very much. Bye. Bye from Trincomalee.